guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the first in our 4K week. I try to do these now and again and review 4K editions of sort of maybe films that have been out for a while. Tonight we're looking at an 88 film 4K release on their slasher label, and it's called Fade to Black, which is a 1980s horror film. So let's have a little look at the edition. So this is the physical release of Fade to Black, released on 88 Films Slasher Classic Collection. This is a 4K release, one of the first on this collection because they're normally all Blu-ray. So let's have a little look at the actual release. So it comes with a slipcase in a 4K case with the same sleeve. It has the film on Blu-ray. It has the film on 4K. I'm gonna switch the two. Oh, not a very good box. Put the 4K on that one. Comes with a very small 4-page booklet with an essay, and it has a reversible sleeve which we will switch round as we don't need the same picture as the slipcase. So that is the new physical release of Fade to Black. So it's an okay edition, nothing really great special about it. The box is very flimsy, very cheap sort of thing, and there's no real booklet with it to say, just a 4-page sort of essay. But is there any special features? So this is the main menu for Fade to Black. Special features on the 4K disc is an audio commentary with actor Dennis Christopher, an audio commentary with The Hysteria Continues, historical commentary track film historians Amanda Reyes and Bill Yackerman, and the original trailer. Now I'm taking it there's going to be special features on the Blu-ray disc as well. And your setup, you have a 2.0 mono soundtrack and the audio commentaries, which is very disappointing for a 4K. But that is the special features on Fade to Black. Well, that's absolute shit as well, isn't it? Just a commentaries and a trailer. So that's really poor, considering this is quite expensive to buy. All of their slasher films in this collection are being Blu-ray until now. They've just decided to do 4K. So let's get to the story before we review the 4K. So this is a film. It's not a slasher film. Okay, although it's in a slasher collection, it is not a slasher film. It's a character-based sort of film based on someone who is suffering from mental illness, should we say. And his name is Eric, and he is an old movie fanatic. He loves old Hollywood movies. He's living in Hollywood. And he's into really old Hollywood films, old film noir, old Universal horror, all these sort of old films, and he is into all that. And he works at like a sort of film factory where they have all these sort of prints, which obviously get shipped off to cinemas and stuff like that. And he works there, and he lives with his aunt, who is, I think his mum and dad are both dead, and he lives with his aunt. And she's quite weird. She's sort of wheelchair bound, and she's quite strange. Anyway, he's really into these sort of movies, and he gets picked on quite a lot by the boss. A couple of work colleagues pick on him. One of the work colleagues is played by a very young Mickey Rourke, and they pick on him. And in one lunchtime, he's at a diner, and he meets Marilyn, who's like a Marilyn Monroe lookalike, and she does look a bit like her, to be honest. And he really fancies her, and they seem to hit it off and quite good. So he gives her a lift on her bike, and he invites her out to the cinema in the evening, and she agrees to go. She arranged to meet him at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock comes and she doesn't turn up, and she's out having dinner with some other guy. He sits there waiting till 9:30. Then she realizes she's supposed to be there, and she leaves that other guy to go to meet him at the cinema, but it's too late. He's already gone. And to him, it was the last straw. He's been lit down. He's picked on and he's lit down. And so then he starts to go through a part of the film where he tries to reenact the characters from these old films, be it an old Universal film, be it a gangster film or Western, whatever it is, he reenacts them and goes out to try and revenge on these people that have picked on him or let him down. And that is pretty much the film in a nutshell. It is a strong sort of character-based kind of film where you see his gradual sort of twist into madness, if you like, if you will. And it's not a slasher film because we know who it is, we know the killer, and there's not that many deaths in it to really qualify as a slasher film. Let's get to my final verdict and the 4K review. Right, so the film itself, I'm going to score a good watch and give it a 7 out of 10. It was nothing special. It didn't bring anything new to the table. It was okay. It was okay acted. It wasn't brilliant, but it was all right. I quite enjoyed it, to the extent of seeing some of the old film clips that are used up in there, and also seeing him sort of like portray some of the characters like the Mummy and Dracula and things like that, and sort of like James Cagney in the film. So that was quite cool. I quite enjoyed those scenes when we got to the kills. But when we get to that, it's a very slow sort of build up to that, and the story doesn't really go too far anyway. Right, so the 4K, the transfer, I'm going to score a 5 out of 10. It's probably the worst transfer I own. It's a very poor and weak transfer from 88 Film. It looks like a cheap Blu-ray. I did double check I've got the 4K in, and I did. It was a very poor transfer. Very grainy, over-coloured, and it's quite ugly. Just because it was just really grimy, and the film was dirty, and when it was in the dark it was really fuzzy with loads of noise and that on the film, and it's a really poor transfer. So that's a 5 out of 10. The sound, I'm going to score 4 out of 10. The sound was even worse, I think, because it's only a mono soundtrack on it. Now they managed to, it says it's got HDR. There's no way there's HDR on this, and you'd have think if you're going to do all that, then you need to increase the sound and improve the sound quality, but they didn't. I believe this has had a Vinegar Syndrome release, and this might be the same transfer, but I think they've played around with it and made it worse. So the film, the story is a 7 out of 10 because it's good. The 4K transfer is a 5 out of 10, and the sound is a 4 out of 10. So overall, I'll just score it a 7 out of 10. Very disappointing release. Just needed to be on a Blu-ray. But there we go. They wanted to charge you more because the Blu-rays in this series are about £17. This, they charge you 25 for the same quality. Massive shout out to my lads. See you soon, guys.
Mark?